Raptor fans, rejoice. The time for negativity is over because this team is finally eliminated from playoff contention. Yeah. This is Basketball Island. Hein, Hambone, West, Fab, you look a little upset.
I mean, I'm not upset, but I'm not going to, cheer about it. I mean, it was happening no matter what.
Exactly, but now it's, you know what? We've been pretty negative about this team, and honestly, you in the comments have definitely let us know about that, but we can officially sort of move past now because they're officially eliminated from the playoffs. They're pretty much locked into 7, and, we got to find
last. Yeah.
Sorry, 7th from the bottom. Yeah, 7th from the bottom, unless the Spurs catch them. But Final Fours this weekend, there's a lot of very good prospects who will be playing who we could see in a Raptor uniform.
So, I mean, obviously, negativity on this pod, truth-telling, I would call it, breeds negativity. So we get that, man. It's been a miserable year. 2 straight years of pretty poor Raptors ball. Last year, they didn't get to reap the benefits of a draft pick. This year, super interesting. And it's great that this Final Four has good teams, 4 1 seeds, first time since 2008. I think that's
second time ever.
Yeah, so that's that's
dude,
amazing.
That 2008, just look at the 2008 draft where you had 3 top 5 picks. First overall with Rose, you had Russell Westbrook, you had Kevin Love,
Mario Chalmers miracle.
Yeah, Chalmers,
baby.
Kansas, yeah.
Biggest shot attorney. So to me, I think this is it's a great time because these teams also happen to have really interesting prospects, especially Duke, where you have guys who've been rumored or to go around that 7 to 10 slot where in all actuality, that's where the Raptors will fall. I'm very, very excited because we're going to get great games this weekend. And I'm very intrigued by a couple guys. Malawach especially. I know you like your boy Con Knipple.
I know. I like Malawach. He loves Knipple.
I do. Hey,
he's all up in Knipple.
That's okay.
Big con man,
Wes and I were arguing about this before when I'm like, I like Knipple. His game's really good. I think Wes made an Austin Reeves comp, and I'm like, I will ride for Austin Reeves, and I'm like, all right, let's back it up. I watched a little of that Knipple, some of his high school stuff. People call him not a good athlete. That guy is a decent athlete, and you said he's got more in his bag. He's not just a shooter. You are correct. I was wrong. And Wes, you will be in person in San Antonio this weekend, watching those Duke guys reporting for TSN.
Yeah, that's gonna
I can't snap, otherwise I would do that.
Crazy experience. Yeah, crazy experience. Looking forward to it, obviously. So it's gonna be cool to be down there and actually get to see a lot of the stuff we don't see on the screen. I'm very excited to see that. You talk about some of the guys who are the best Raptors of all time. You talk about a guy like Kyle Lowry. It's so much of what he did not on the court. The things you don't see happening. I want to see some of that. I want to see what you guys are like in the huddle. I want to see how they handle themselves. You need to talk about the Raptors team right now and some of the things that we're concerned about. It's not even the on-court product. It's how they handle themselves in the locker room, the day-to-day, the habits that they're building. If it's not Cooper Flag, let's see what type of habits some of these other dudes have out there. I can't wait to see that. So that's where I'm going to have my binoculars on.
So, Fab, my question for you. Malawach or Knipple? Of the Duke dudes, which one would you... let's go first fit-wise, and who do you want?
My answer is Cooper Flag. There's still, a remote chance they could land Flag?
I think it's 7.1% chance, something like that?
Possible.
I'll always Flag.
We got Connor, bring the graphics up now. The odds. There's top 4 is whatever, but it's most likely they're picking.
Well, Malawach for sure because he's projected to go much higher than Knipple is. If the Raptors,
it's closer than you think now.
If the Raptors are we want Knipple, then you could actively trade down, right? I don't think he's going to be 7th or 8th. I think he's more in that 10, 11 range if you're going off kind of latest mock drafts. But Malawach fits way more of a need than Knipple does, right?
Yeah.
He's your center of the future at that point. He's a cornerstone in the paint for you. So, I'd lean towards that rather than another kind of wing.
So, honestly, too, position of need. But I just want to say to the person in the comments last week who said Malawach doesn't protect the rim, isn't a good athlete, and doesn't rim run. 80 dunks in 39 games, and all we saw last weekend was him blocking shots and sorry, didn't mean to swear, and going to the rim.
Fired up.
Do your eyes work? Because
no, because your eyes you can only say that if you watch the game, so you haven't. Yes. It doesn't matter.
Okay, but he's not like a Victor Wembanyama shot blocker. No, he's not like a 4 block. He's more of but just by being 7'2", and putting his hands up, he's going to, if not blocking the shot, he's going to alter your shot.
And offensively, he's shooting 82% from the field in this tournament. It's mostly all dunks, but we've seen him hit a 3. the guy has been playing basketball for 4 years.
Yep.
Like, that's a real thing that when we've heard that with people before, like guys who are so late to it, there's so much room to grow for him.
It's blank canvas stuff with Malawach, right? So in the Raptors system, in this current iteration of the team, I think he fits great as a backup big to Jakob Poeltl.
Yeah.
I think it's a guy you can slowly cultivate. And dude, like how you not like watch the games and notice that he gives Duke and the Raptors potentially something that they never had, which is an aerial threat. Like, oh, you're just driving to the rim. Scotty Barnes seeing over the defense and throwing lobs. A 6, 8, 9, 10 guy throwing lobs to a 7-2 guy. That's unique stuff. Yeah. So to me, that's kind of what's super tantalizing.
Yeah, some of the best comps are a lot of these plays you see in these games where Cooper Flag gets himself in an advantageous position, and then when he gets to the paint, Malawach's defender has to cheat up. Cooper Flag, so tall, so athletic, boom, right away, easiest of lobs, easy dunk, right? Yeah. We don't have Jakob doesn't give that option right now. No. So as much as we like the season that he's had, this is another layer of the offense that becomes completely unlocked, and everyone else on the Raptors becomes better for it.
But I just want to throw this out there. It all still depends where they're picking, right? And we still need to see how these guys do in combines and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not saying I'm like glued to Malawach by any means. Like the Raps could end up with the 3rd pick. I don't know if you're taking him there, right?
No, of course.
There's a lot that still has to happen.
I call that one of them good problems.
So
that'd be a great problem.
In the world of reality, it's likely they're going to be picking in that 7, 8, 9 range.
Well, they
realistically,
can't get 5th or 6th,
no,
right?
it's
Based
only
on their slot.
Top 4, based off where they are right now, and we can bring up the graphic. Top 4 probabilities are here. Can't get 5 or 6, and then 7, 8, 9.
You could end up 10,
Now,
9 or 10.
Malawach has really, based off of this tournament, I think the latest mock I saw him, people have him as high as 5 or 6. But Wes touched on this. When you have a guy who's very inexperienced, it's the perfect pairing with Poeltl because there's not that pressure isn't there for him to come in and contribute right away.
They have different styles of games, right? Like you can facilitate your offense through Poeltl, top of the key at the elbow, whereas Malawach I think is more of a traditional rim runner. And I kind of like his switchability on defense too. That's something Poeltl I think showed flashes of. This year has kind of been up and down, but if you have bigs that could be competent switching defensively, opens up a lot of avenues for you, especially with Scotty Barnes shining on that end of the floor.
I think fundamentally, if you're talking about sitting in 7 to 10 versus 1 through 3, one range is you want full ceiling raising, drag this thing as
franchise changer.
Yeah, change everything. But once you get to 7 to 10, you do have to start to consider the floor because even without this draft pick, the Raptors are clearly suggesting they believe the current iteration of the team is playoff capable. So that's already very high floor. So you can't bring in a full dud. It has to be a guy that can at least do something and contribute right away because the win now window starts next year.
Yep.
So you don't get to make a mistake at 7 through 10 on a super project who doesn't work out. I actually like Malawach's floor. You think he's on blank canvas, but no, he's actually very capable in that role that he's going to play. So I think he's got a great floor. You're not asking him to become your number 1 scoring option, right? It's his ceiling as a role player in that role, I think, is more attainable than Knipple, who has to potentially get to a 25 point a night guy to be his ceiling. They're two very different ceilings.
Yeah, so if he gets 15 minutes a night, I think that I agree with you. The floor is high, but the blank canvas stuff that I was alluding to was more okay, that's the floor. I agree. I think he's a high floor, high ceiling type player. Only because of his physical traits. 7'2", 7'6" wingspan, really, really good feet. Very, very intriguing guy. I mean, we're slowly talking ourselves into him.
The Raptors, they're going to have a lot of decisions to make if they're in the 7 or 8 range, right?
Oh, yeah.
In terms of what style of player, what kind of.
But they don't need a guy, I think, who handles the ball.
And that's where I love Malawach because they do need a big presence.
What about Derek Queen, man? What about Derek Queen?
I don't know how Queen. I don't know what Queen's game looks like in the NBA.
A lot of questions to answer.
So, to the point with Malawach, and I think Russillo said this. If you go back to that Bama game, Bama could not get a clean look for the last 5 minutes of that game. Yeah. The Duke defense was smothering, and a lot of that. Flag is a really good defender, but Malawach, he ties it all together. When you have that presence protecting the rim, it allows everybody else to take little gambles, which fits with the Raptor personnel.
Let's be honest. Cooper Flag is the heart of everything. Dude,
of course,
so
for sure.
Cooper Flag was absolutely worth tanking for. And I don't
Yeah.
want to harp on this, but oh my God, man. What a
was
player.
good.
Hyper competitive, Swiss Army knife, good offensively, good defensively. Like, compete level is
Wolverine healing skills, as we saw with the ankle.
you know, compete levels as high as possible. Like,
Yeah.
the dude is just...
He might be on, like, if Duke ends up winning the national title.
when Duke ends up winning the national
Well,
title.
yeah, he would say that. I mean, like, you're looking at one of the best seasons ever by a freshman.
Yeah.
Like, what comes to
Carmelo
mind?
Anthony.
Yeah.
Carmelo
Right,
Anthony.
in terms of-
Yeah, Anthony Davis, that one season with Kentucky.
But like a freshman actually leading a team
Yeah,
to a
Greg
championship.
Well, Kentucky led him to a Final Four, right?
Yeah,
They didn't
Final
win,
Four.
but
Greg
they got to
Oden,
the
I
Final
think,
Four. They
got-
lost to
yeah.
Wisconsin.
Greg
or something.
Oden got to the finals. Like, I'm looking like you're trying to like figure out like this is some legendary we're witnessing.
Yeah,
Cooper.
like when you watch him in the March Madness tournament right now, you just see he's literally a full tier, like a full cut above every other player on every opponent they faced. It's like very obvious that the game just is at a different speed for him, and then everybody else are college kids.
100%.
Well, it is what it is. Before we wrap on NCAA, do you want to talk about your boy from Florida?
Walter Clayton. All right. All right, man. Like this guy. So he was, we did our whole draft board, right? Coming into it. Everyone got a region. We're picking our favorite prospects. Clayton wasn't on a top 50, top 60 draft board.
Yeah, I think
right?
he was.
Like,
I think at the beginning of this
maybe
on
late
Gavoni's list, he was like
second?
62nd ranked prospect.
He was like a late second, and now he's kind of jumped up to the first round.
Well, you hit those swaggy threes. It's got everybody
Man,
buzzing.
like some of the to me, like that's the thing you can't really measure with these guys, right? Like we're not there. We're just watching on a screen. We dip in like a couple months a year, seeing how these guys play. It's just confidence on the biggest stage. To me, is something you can't measure until you see it. And the shots this guy is like, even like taking. It's like not whether he makes it or not. Like it's. You got the ball at the free throw line, and you decide to just run back to the 3-point line.
Insane shot selection.
It's just, and dude, he has
and
been.
the stakes though, when your team needs you to hit those shots, or you're done.
Like you're thriving late in games. I think he's super, super intriguing. He definitely gambles a lot defensively, but he just relies on this intuition, this confidence, this sneaky athleticism. Very intriguing prospect, especially with the Raptors having a draft pick in the second round. They own Portland.
That's the Blazers
Yeah,
pick,
it's
right? Yeah.
projected to be 30.
Interesting.
But he would need to be like kind of in that like early part of the second
Well, he's-
round.
well,
right?
Look, right now
He's playing himself into the. Sorry to cut you off, Wes. Go ahead.
No. Yeah, go ahead.
He's playing himself into the first round. The last mock I saw, I think they had him 26th.
So, which that doesn't.
Yeah, the challenges for him, 4-year player senior. So you usually see that with those players versus freshmen. The other comp that I like of all the things you discussed, he's kind of Fred VanVleet-esque.
That was the
Right?
comp the NBA.com.
He's got some of that, right? So like, takes big time shots, not good shots. Like no, but this is true. You have to take away that. His
Yeah.
shot selection is poor, but he hit him.
Man.
He hit him and carried that team when Florida was really pressing.
The Tim McMahon cojones factor. You cannot judge that. You're not going to see that anywhere, but I love that. Also, with a lot of 4-year guys, you're going to get someone who's going to come in and contribute right away if you take him. So if he sits till the second round, I would love him as a Raptor.
Yeah, and I think those are the guys you kind of like take flyers on late in the first, early second. I think Raptors have had success in the past. Like, they didn't draft Fred VanVleet, but that was a tenured college player. Malachi Flynn, same thing. So I think to me, there is value in that. Hey, man, his stock is rising, so this all might be moot.
I also think that's what the Raptors need right now. They got enough young players as the core of the team. You don't need more young people. You need more play now ready guys. So a lot of these transfer portal 4-year guys, this is probably actually a great window to do it. And that mid second round pick, there actually are quite a few good dudes.
Real
that
quick,
are going to show up.
we're thinking it's going to be a Duke Florida final. I'm guessing.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
My money's on it.
I would think so. Yeah.
Money line parlay.
Yeah, it is a great, the most obvious trappy money line parlay, but we endorse it. Make that bet.
It's been all chalk, so you didn't do anything wrong.
All right, let's talk some. Just go back to the NBA because last night, what a night! Typically, this time of year is just a dead zone, or unless, as I like to dub it, Eubank season, where you can really profit off of scrubs going off in terms of the player prop market. Josh Giddey, where you at? But no,
I would call Giddey a scrub.
No, I know, but like Giddey's
been great.
Yeah, I would call him a cash cow. That's what I would call Josh Giddey. Jokic last night.
Unbelievable.
That's arguably game of the year.
Oh yeah. No,
He absolutely went off. There was it overshadowed Steph. Steph owned the night until Jokic is like, hold my beer.
What was it, 8?
But the Nuggets lost.
Nuggets
Yes,
lost
I know, but still though,
Game of the year.
I'll blame Russ on that.
Westbrook lost that game.
Microcosm of Russ's career right there.
Let's take that as a jumping off point to Nuggets T-Wolves, like, give us more of that, please.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're drafting which first round series you want to see, like that's my first pick based on what we've seen this year, what we've seen in the playoffs last year, and the playoffs the year before that. They've played two of the best handful of games this season.
Yeah.
Like last night was absolutely like incredible. It was cinema, man.
It was.
And like shout out to Nikhil Alexander-Walker who had a huge game for Minnesota as well. Like, but
Nice free throw.
they just. Like they match up so well against each other, and it kind of seems like Minnie has their number now.
yeah.
No Nas Reed, no
Nas
Dante
Reed, no Dante.
DiVincenzo.
They've won all 4 games against them this year, and dating back to last year's playoffs, the last 2 of that series. So that's 6 in a row against them now. But like all these games are decided by the finest margins, right?
Yeah, man.
And even if you go back to the last game, I know with it, we talk about it all the time, honest actors. Doesn't it just seem like when Minnesota plays them, it's like we care, we are up for these
course.
games,
Yeah.
and we want to knock you
Make
out.
no mistake, Denver wanted that game.
Yes.
Because I think they are actively trying to avoid Minnesota in this crazy Western Conference. Like, they wanted that. Jokic played most of that game. I don't think he sat in the second half in overtimes. Like, you can kind of tell. Like, I think Minnesota definitely strikes fear into Denver. I think that is palpable. And even like last year's playoff series where it's like some games were like tight and then just became blowouts, it was still intriguing to watch.
Yep.
And I think that's, man, the West is a...
Well, you want give us your what is the one
great.
what is the one
we're
series
gonna-
you want in the first round?
Oh my God. Any series that doesn't involve Sacramento or Dallas in the Western Conference. To
Fair.
me, it is a, oh my goodness. Like every single matchup. Like I actually worry, like, we are Shea Gilgeous-Alexander supporters here. Latest straw poll just came out. Tim Bontemps. They got Shea 71 first place votes. I just logged it out here, but 71 first place votes. So he looks like the favorite to win MVP. Meanwhile, Jokic is having the best season of his career. I actually worry about who their first round opponent could be. Like if it's the Clippers.
Well, that's the one series I want.
healthy Kawhi. Like, oh my.
I don't think OKC. I think they're fine with the.
That's
Clippers.
fine, but
Yeah,
I think they're fine too.
Man.
But first of all,
not easy.
because of the history with the trade. That is a layer to that series that is really interesting.
Yeah.
But also, isn't that just the perfect test for this young OKC team? Where like I feel like this is kind of a tell on like we all like you don't know ball. If they're getting the Clippers in the first round, I think a lot of trendy people will be like Clippers can get them, and everyone who's watched OKC all year will be like, no, like this isn't gonna happen. I think it's a good test, but ultimately OKC will get by them with ease.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Clippers are scrappy. You're getting this kind of peak version of Kawhi right now that,
First round stretched out too, so Kawhi will be at his best when you have
the first
way
round.
more
That's a
games.
great
Let's
point.
see if
Way
he
more
can
time.
make it through a series. He hasn't the last couple of seasons. I just think OKC's defense will wear out the Clippers.
Yeah.
Like, James Harden, you're not going to be able to breathe bringing the ball up the court at any point during the series.
Yeah.
So I just think they wear them out with like their physicality and speed.
And that's the expectation. Right?
That's the expectation. I think OKC would be a huge favorite betting wise.
Yeah.
I just laugh. Like you look at the options to be the 8th seed for OKC in the West, and then what do you got? Atlanta, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe Orlando or maybe
you're
Chicago.
comparatively
Maybe
to the
Maybe
yeah.
Chicago
Yeah.
makes it into the 8th seed.
Yeah.
Like that's what's funny. It's like the Clippers as an 8th seed option. It's just like that is so daunting. You're talking about a top 3 defense in the league this year. That versus the other choices on the Eastern Conference, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
Yeah.
So tough luck for OKC, but it is going to be a
You would
gauntlet
want the
in there.
Grizz, I think.
So,
if you're OKC,
Right now-
you hope the Grizz slides
Right
the
now,
lead.
you're hoping it's
Let me
Grizz or
just
the Rockets?
Let's go like gun to your head to the 3 of you guys. If you know the Clippers are getting full on healthy Kawhi for an entire series against OKC,
Don't do this to me, man.
What do you like?
But let's say open that up to anybody. Like, can the Clippers, if Kawhi is healthy, do they beat the Lakers? Do they beat the Nuggets?
I
No,
think-
I'm just saying. Like,
I think with a healthy Kawhi, anything.
what's
is
their
po-
ceiling?
We witnessed it with our own eyes. I know that was 5 years ago.
No,
The one
That's 5
matchup I would
years
take
ago.
them is them versus the Rockets. If the Rockets stay
Yeah.
2,
I
somehow
would
Oh,
take
the
the
Clippers.
Clippers.
I will take the Clippers
I'll take the
100%.
Clippers
I would
there.
get the
I
Clippers.
wouldn't take OKC. I wouldn't take Denver. And what do they got? Like LA. LA could be a tough series, actually. I don't think that'd be easy for them.
No.
Lakers. Lakers versus Clippers, that'd be tough. I think that'd be a little bit of a fight.
So wait, speaking of the Lakers? I think what's your one series you want to see in the first round?
Oh, I mean, there's a potential collision course of last dances. LeBron James, 40-year-old. Like, let's call it what it is. Like, as great as he is right now, like, the days are numbered. Golden State, this is very likely their last dance. So I like to see them go as long as possible. It's great for the good of the league. I'm sure they want that. But there's a world they face off in the first round.
Right now, where as of the taping of this
they're
pod, that
4-5.
is the
Literally
first
a
round matchup.
world that happens. What a barn burner of that might be an all-time first round series.
We're
in
owed
terms of
that.
legendary.
I think I would love to get it in the second round, but we are owed Steph v. LeBron one last
They
time.
would do a 30 for 30 on just that series. You know what I mean?
There's really no bad options when you match everyone up in the West. You're guaranteed 3 of the 4 are awesome series, no matter what.
Where's the NBA sucks crowd after a game like last night?
They're in
You
our
know what I'm
fantasy
saying?
football group chat. That's where they are. Luke Wilson. I hear
out,
you.
Don't get me started, man. I got
Yeah.
say,
Oh,
I'm
but
not gonna-
baseball. Come on, get out of here.
Let's just get through the rest of this regular season with
Yeah, we're
good
close.
health for
No,
There's
everybody.
still so much at stake in the West.
No,
That's
for
the thing.
sure.
Like,
Oh, for sure.
Like, we have 6-7 games left. Like, you look at how the West is stacking up, man. Like, that would be an amazing series. Denver actively trying to avoid Minnesota. Man, so I think to me, it's the West appointment viewing. You have to watch every series, in my opinion. In the East, you could stand to wait till the second round, I think.
So what's the? Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. We didn't talk about this before. Looking at the odds, you've got to think OKC. Boston's like what? OKC and Boston have extremely short odds. Who is the non-OKC or Boston title team that jumps out to you the most?
So I have money down on 3 teams out west. You know, you try and find the best value you can. I like tying a Western Conference team to the Celtics.
Oh, I love that as well.
So I
yeah.
believe, and it's my
it
belief.
really worked for us with our Wemby Depoy bets when we did
Wow,
that.
that was, oh, come on, man. Don't do that to me.
Hey man,
Shout out Josh Lewinberg. Sent you that cash right away, dude. Don't you forget it. I think to me the best way to do that is to tie a Western Conference team that you like to Boston. I
Yeah.
just don't think Boston has a threat
We're all
out east.
anti-Cavs. We're all anti-Cavs.
Well, I don't know about these guys, but I'm definitely anti-Cavs.
I heard there's value on the Bucks.
I got a juicy one. This is going to go against what I said last year. Milwaukee Bucks to win the East. All
Oh.
right. How dare you?
I'm
Dame got hurt.
sorry. That was in bad faith.
Yeah.
That really sucks for Dame that he had
Yeah,
to go out this
awful.
way.
It's
like
awful.
it's
Dude,
and
I've
blood
been-
clots are never
I've
like
been
a
blood clotted twice on this pod, man. The Wemby,
true. That is
Wemby
true.
and Dame, like
That
literally.
is, poor you, not them. Poor you. Poor
Yes,
you.
fair
Oh
point, fair
man.
point.
Oh,
Get well
tough.
soon. Get well soon.
Get well
guys.
soon, Dave.
okay, so who's the team you're stapling with Boston then? Is
So
it Denver?
I've already done Denver and
Yeah.
Boston. I had OKC preseason as well as the Shea MVP bet, which is looking pretty good. Knock on
I'm
wood.
glad you did.
Thank you. But the big one I bet solo was Golden State. Now I am terrified of a matchup with the Lakers
Yeah.
in the
That's
first
not a good
round.
one.
I am terrified, but I'm a Jimmy Butler guy, as you all very well know. So I have money on 3 teams out west. I've tied Denver to Boston. I think you can't go wrong if you want more value tying a team out west with Boston. I think Boston has a pretty comfortable path to the finals.
What about you, Wes? Who's the one non-Celtics or Thunder team that you look at that number?
I still like Denver. I just generally I like Denver. I just think matchups are going to have to go a certain way in these playoffs. But you talk about a team that has the experience, has the best player in the world, and ultimately doesn't have like you don't go into any matchup against Denver and feel like, oh, they're a huge underdog in this series. Like no.
Not when you have your
beat anybody.
Every single series, including OKC, you can see a clear path to 4 wins. So I like Denver.
And Jamal was hurt in that Timberwolves game last night too. So Jamal did not play. I think that's also a big factor.
What about you, Fab?
I need to see the matchups. I need to see how the bracket looks because that determines everything for me. Who gets who?
Yeah.
Cop out.
I mean, no. Okay, fine. You want you want a long shot sprinkle? Then bet the Wolves 20-1.
Yeah, interesting. Nice.
No,
Yeah,
I'm just
I like
saying.
it.
No. I don't think they're winning the West, but you want a 20-1?
Yeah.
That's a good flag.
Look at them.
There you go.
They're going to give anybody a fight.
Yep.
That's a good flag.
Right?
That's a good flag.
They're motivated.
Beginning of the
Obviously,
season,
like
I'm on
everyone.
Denver, and then after the alert of the Luka trade went off, once I found out it wasn't
Lakers,
a hack,
yeah.
I quickly bet the Lakers at like 20-1.
That was good when you got it,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. But what's it at now, like 16-1?
No, it's 7-1 to win the West.
No,
it's
no,
win the
to
West.
win the title, to win the
To
title.
win the title, we're talking about I think
16-1?
18-1
Okay.
or 19-1.
Worth the sprinkle.
I'll let you clean transition this in a sec, but we brought up Nuggets. We talked about like games to go in the season. One bet I want to flag is that there's a market on FanDuel right now for who's going to finish as the number 2 seed. I wrote about this as well. Houston is supposed to win it. All right, they're 2 games up. There's only 6 games to go. Right, so they're a minus money favorite. Nuggets are there plus 200. The reason why I just draw your attention to the Nuggets, on top of them playing with intent, even though they lost that game, which was a critical loss for them.
Yeah.
They're 2 games behind Houston, but they play Houston in the final game of the year, and that's the tiebreaker between the two of them.
Interesting.
If they end up with the same record.
Very good flag.
So You look at the schedule. Denver's got 2 bird-ish games to go.
Dude.
Houston have 1 more, but Houston have a gauntlet schedule to wrap the season.
To your point,
okay?
so they host the Jazz, then they host the Thunder, at Warriors, at Clippers, at Lakers, and then host the Nuggets last
So
night.
it could be a 5-game losing streak going into the playoffs, and the Nuggets will only need to go 3-3 or 2-4 actually.
So,
to finish
Damn,
off.
and the Lakers play the Thunder twice in OKC as well.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
So I think the big thing is Connor. Before posting this, let us all get to FanDuel, make that bet, and then you can post the pod.
Make it right now.
Yeah, so I mean, look, if the Nuggets if the Nuggets won that game, obviously the numbers would be very different. But I think it's actually open window of
I love that you literally are just betting.
Log it in.
I should be able to just press the screen here, and then our accounts just pop up, Face ID, and just make that bet.
My
You don't
point
wanna see
being
that.
is that with that dramatic loss, you might think like, oh, their odds are over. But I actually think there's still a window given the schedule and given that final tiebreaker game that they have. So just keep an eye out for that. Denver, I think they're playing for keeps right
So
now.
now, whatever number you see on the screen now, when Wes bets this, it will move dramatically because he's a whale like that. And speaking of Wes whale bets, let's finish off with some awards. We've seen some movement.
Yeah.
A lot of movement, actually.
A lot of movement, dude.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of
Jokic
movement.
back in the clutch conversation. All of us have our fingers crossed. But more importantly, it's to me, it's MIP.
Yeah,
and
completely flipped.
Shout out Dyson. As a person who had Dyson Daniels in fantasy, just love the guy. But Cade's missed 4 or 5 games now, and that market is completely flipped.
And with all due respect, again, I something fundamentally wrong with the first overall
Spirit of
pick.
the award. We've talked about it,
winning most improved player. But Cade was a minus 200 favorite as of a few days ago, and now it has completely flipped to Dyson Daniels, which
Yeah.
I believe is more to the spirit of the award.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. A couple weeks ago, I said it was Cade's to lose. So, that doesn't look like the case now. So, once again, it comes down to the track record on a first-time All-Star kind of making that leap, winning the award, versus a guy who is statistically jumping like crazy.
Yeah.
Like, look at Dyson's points compared to this year. Look at his steals. Look at his
He's
boards.
streets ahead.
Like, if
He's
you're talking about
flipped on.
actual improvement, it's easily Dyson. So, well, I'm just saying, he should win in terms of the statistical jump. But if we're talking about narrative-wise,
Yeah.
Cade has more of a,
Dyson would be the Pascal Siakam route for this award. And even before this year, the guy that was creeping up and challenging Cade was Norm, who's had a major statistical jump. But then once his injury happened at the beginning of March, that's when Dyson's number... It was very interesting to see the odds, actually, because his numbers jumped from 100 to 1 prior to that Norman Powell injury. So it was really weird to see with Powell not hitting 65 games. Suddenly, they just anointed Dyson Daniels to fill in that spot that Norman Powell clearly had. So I was really surprised by the price that was laid out for Dyson Daniels in the first place.
There was value.
Look, sometimes the books, they have everything lined up perfectly. I think that is a clear example where the books kind of got caught there. And so congrats to you if you got a Dyson Daniels ticket in February. No, I don't think any of us did.
Well, I think you flagged this on one of your Digital Sports Center hits. When the Powell injury happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't obviously take it. I didn't think it was going to happen. Cade's now missing games and opening the door. I think that this is what this is going to come down to. You're either betting what you honestly think as a viewer think is right and what you think the voters will vote. And those are two distinctly different things. It relates to the MVP conversation too. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
But I think you read the tea leaves and how the award has been voted on. This award's kind of utilized for not technically the most authentic means. And so I think they want to award the Detroit Pistons, who've been
That's
the story of the year.
That's what I was going to say too. And you look at the Coach of the Year market now too. It's like Pistons are going to be rewarded somewhere.
I don't buy that for a
no,
set. I will.
I agree, but there's movement. There's a lot of movement.
You're absolutely right, but to the death. I think how they award it, the Pistons, is Cade, not Bickerstaff. Mark my words, Bickerstaff will not win Coach of the Year.
I don't know, this might not age well.
So
man.
that's what I'm saying. I will owe something in the playoffs when it happens, right? Mark my words, I promise to pay.
I don't understand how Ime is not in this conversation fully
That's crazy.
with what
That's
the expectations
crazy.
were, and they're the 2 seed in a loaded West. It
That's
doesn't make
crazy.
any sense.
That's crazy, but it's all good.
So-
I still think.
So listen, the case for Bickerstaff is obviously one of the most impressive turnarounds in terms of a win percentage in team. I think they're like the 6th best turnaround in history. Now that was a team that was also tanking.
Yeah.
So like, take some of those wins and losses with a bit of a grain of salt.
Yeah, but they weren't trying to lose 28 in a row. They sucked.
You're
They
right.
sucked.
But Atkinson took over the team Bickerstaff had. It's almost an identical team, and is now at a minimum 12 to 15 games better. Like, is that not a specific example of a coach just improving on his predecessor?
And that to me is a harder jump to make.
Way harder
to become elite. I think that's interesting. So it goes back to you made a great point with the Pistons needing an award, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of why we love Nikola Jokic to win Clutch Player of the Year. Dude hadn't played in a clutch game month, and then last night, double overtime banger where he stuffs the stat sheet. If Shea wins MVP, which the odds say he will, don't you think Jokic should be rewarded for this season? That's kind of like
a career best year.
That's the thought process of these, right?
Both as someone and all of us who have a lot of money on Jokic to win Clutch Player of the Year, Wes is going to buy us all lobster. We do want that to happen. But just from that exactly, if I was a neutral who didn't have any money on it, how are you not going to reward this guy who's been a multi-time MVP for his best season?
To me, it's not even about that. If you actually look at the clutch numbers, because Brunson is the favorite right now.
Which I disagree with
Jokic
so
actually, he scored less points, less total points, but more rebounds, more assists, better net
field goal,
better
better
net
field goal
rating.
percentage
So once again, it's a very unclear award in terms of what they're actually like. There's no you lead in category X, so you win Clutch Player of the Year. So there's a bit of gray with what exactly gets rewarded here.
And Brunson, I don't think the 65 game minimum does not apply to
Clutch.
Clutch. But Brunson may not play 65 games. That's time will tell in that regard the last couple weeks here. But yeah, I think to me it's just how do voters reward Jokic for the season he had, but not being able to give him MVP because of what Shea's doing.
What Brunson has in his favor is more clutch moments.
He had, he had a month or stretch
where he had this stretch of just hitting unreal, kind of game-winning, game-tying shots.
Yeah.
So, but that fades after a while, and when you look at it at the end of the year, it's we're looking at numbers now, right?
Yeah.
We're the aura of these game winners and stuff kind of just fades. So at the end of the year, you're looking at data. What do the numbers say? And right now, I think Jokic is a little bit.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, look, the last two winners, they share a consistent pattern. They're both number one in total clutch points.
Yeah.
And so Brunson's not the one who's on the top of that board, and he might not play another game this regular season. Trey is actually the first player
who's fallen off now.
Yeah, he's the first player to ever lead in both total points and total assists in the clutch. Yeah. So he's technically in the mix too. My whole beef here is Jalen Brunson is vibes.
Yeah.
Whereas Jokic, there's more of a narrative, narrative owe it, and then Trey is statistically the choice. He's done something in clutch no one's ever
but now in the past two, they typically go the statistical route with this award, it seems. And at plus 450 right now, it might be worth a sprinkle if you are seriously leveraged with Jokic.
And we've debated this with the Trey, is that the Hawks are under 500.
Yeah.
They're also under 500, in the clutch.
Yeah, but De'Aaron Fox won the award.
I know.
But also, Trey's his field goal percentage is kind of what kills him. In the clutch, if you're looking, because he hasn't been efficient.
No.
He's got the raw numbers.
It's a weird award.
Yeah,
clutch is
we still don't even really know. There hasn't been a big enough sample size to really know, right?
And that's the main thing. Third year of this award, we don't know. What do we know? We're guessing what.
Okay, so let's wrap up on Depoy.
Yeah,
if only there was a podcast of gentlemen who told you to bet Draymond Green to win the Defensive Player of the Year.
Dart throw?
Yeah, that's
Draymond Green. Yeah, 40-1.
I bet that a while ago.
All right. Is there a world where they close the year so strong, their defense goes up to maybe top 5 or 6, and you look at Draymond's pedigree and say, this guy's the Defensive Player of the Year.
Let's all pat ourselves on the back for that one. Fab, we got the comp that is just built perfectly for you. Why don't you just set that one up?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, Grizz interim head coach, I hope I'm saying this right, Tuomas Isalo.
Coach T.I. That's the comp.
Coach T.I. I mean, he was talking about how important Draymond is defensively, and he referenced, all-time great Italian defender, Paolo Maldini. I'm an AC Milan fan.
I'm also a big shout.
I regret
sending
this.
I mean, and you know what that proves to me? It's just who cares about Draymond? There's levels to this, man. You're talking about a defender who played in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and you got basketball coaches referencing him in 2025. All-time GOAT.
I regret sending the link to the group chat.
Play the clip.
I know we're on the wrong continent, but there used to be a great central defender for the Italian national team in soccer called Paolo Maldini.
He's right, though. In terms of the actual comp, it's Draymond puts out fires before they happen, right? And that's what makes him so important defensively. It's not about like just blocks and steals. It's like he sniffs out danger and prevents it from even happening.
Yes.
And that's why he's an all-time defender, and that's why he's the favorite now to win it, because Golden State's defense has been second in the league the last 2 months. Yeah, second in the league for the last 2 months. So.
And Steph will get the accolades from that game against the Grizzlies. Obviously, when you throw up a 50 spot, you deserve it. And 12 threes. But Draymond had lockdown possessions late in that game, switching on to John Morant. And that's kind of speaking to his value. Like, he will snuff. He will not back down from a challenge. He's got that enforcer in him too, which I love. Listen, man, credit to him. He's tooting his own horn. And he probably does deserve it. It's probably his last shot because Wemby coming.
He for sure deserves it.
He deserves it, man.
I'm not just saying that because we all have tickets at good numbers.
Tickets.
But just to note, too, just for the viewers to add some context, Fab is once quoted as saying, any soccer game with more than 2 goals is unnatural. So that just shows the Italian roots and DNA and the Maldini.
If it goes over 3 goals, something weird happened in the game. It's not normal.
On that note, that's all for us. We'll see you next week. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next week.
Final Four, TSN. Watch.